All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're tackling plastic and rubber products manufacturing supervisor interviews. We've got a ton of great RoleCatcher resources to help you prep.
It's a demanding field, blending attention to detail with big picture thinking. Orchestrating people and processes and materials to make everything from car parts to medical devices.
Absolutely. We'll break down those common interview questions, give you some insider tips on how to craft answers that really hit the mark. Not just what to say, but why it matters to the hiring manager.
Plus, we'll be pulling insights from RoleCatcher's Career Guide. Consider it your cheat sheet for industry trends, salary info, what a typical day looks like, all that good stuff.
And of course, we'll touch on how RoleCatcher's AI can give you that extra advantage. Tailoring your resume, making sure it aligns with what those hiring algorithms are really looking for.
Yeah, it's about speaking their language.
Yeah.
Boosting those chances of landing an interview.
Love that. Okay, before we jump into specific questions, let's get a quick overview of the role. So, picture yourself on the factory floor. You're managing a team, overseeing safety, and keeping those production lines humming.
It's a mix of technical expertise and people skills. You're responsible for quality control, hitting those production targets, and keeping your team motivated.
Like a conductor, but instead of instruments, it's people, machines, and materials, right?
Exactly.
Now, let's get into the interview prep. Almost always, they'll start with, how did you get started in plastic and rubber manufacturing?
This is your time to go beyond those resume bullet points. What sparked your interest? Was it a childhood fascination with how things work, a key project in school, maybe even a family connection to the industry?
Right, make it personal, but tie it back to the company. Did their focus on innovation click with your love of problem solving? Did their commitment to sustainability align with your values?
Yeah, making those connections shows you're not just looking for any job, you're looking for this job.
Great point. Now, get ready for this one. What experience do you have in managing a team in a manufacturing environment?
Don't just rattle off job titles. Bring your leadership to life with a story. Remember that time you had to navigate a conflict between team members? Or when you implemented a new process that boosted productivity?
And quantify it. Did that process increase output by 10%? Reduce errors by 15%? Those details make a difference.
And be prepared for follow-up questions like, how would you describe your leadership style? Or what are your strategies for motivating a team? This is where RoleCatcher's AI can be a game changer.
Oh, how so?
You can input your answers, get that AI-powered feedback. It might point out if your description is too vague, suggest stronger verbs to highlight your proactive approach. It's like having a coach fine-tuning your delivery.
Brilliant. Now let's move on to a crucial question. How do you ensure quality control in the manufacturing process?
This is about showcasing your attention to detail, your systems thinking. Have you set up specific inspection routines, or are you using statistical analysis or tech to monitor quality?
They want to see that you're not just reacting to problems, you're ahead of them.
Exactly. And they might ask, how would you handle a situation where a product didn't meet quality standards? So walk them through your process. Be specific. Did you hold a root cause analysis meeting? Did you involve engineering to recalibrate machinery?
Okay, let's shift to managing the flow. The question, how do you prioritize production schedules and ensure deadlines are met?
This is your chance to show off those organizational skills. Do you use project management software, lean manufacturing principles to streamline processes and eliminate waste?
Here's where that RoleCatcher Career Guide is super helpful. It gives you a snapshot of common industry tools and methodologies.
Right. And be ready to discuss adapting to unexpected challenges. They might say, describe a time you had to adjust a production schedule due to a supply chain disruption. What was your approach?
Flexibility and a solutions-oriented mindset, super important in manufacturing. All right, let's talk about a hot topic. What experience do you have with lean manufacturing principles?
This isn't just a buzzword. It's about continuous improvement and efficiency. Share a concrete example of how you applied lean principles, like maybe reducing setup times on a production line or minimizing inventory waste.
Quantify those results again. Did you cut setup time by 20%? Did you free up resources for other tasks?
They might follow up with, how would you introduce lean principles to a team that's not familiar with them? It's not just knowing the theory, it's being able to implement it.
Absolutely. Okay, this next question is critical. How do you ensure employee safety in a manufacturing environment?
It's not enough to just say safety is important. You have to actively demonstrate your commitment. Have you led safety training programs? Conducted regular audits for potential hazards?
Specifics. Did you implement a new lockout-tagout procedure that reduced accidents? Introduced ergonomic assessments to prevent injuries?
Right, they might ask, what steps would you take to address a potential safety hazard? So be prepared with a clear step-by-step plan.
Being a leader who prioritizes safety is non-negotiable. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. How do you handle conflicts with employees?
This one's about your emotional intelligence, your mediation skills. Share a real example of a conflict you successfully resolved.
Remember the STAR method. Situation, task, action, result. A great framework for those behavioral questions.
Yeah, they might ask, describe a time you had to mediate a conflict between two employees with clashing personalities. How did you approach it? Focus on active listening, finding common ground, win-win solutions.
Okay, one more before we move on. How do you stay up to date with industry developments and trends?
This is where you show you're committed to continuous learning. Do you attend conferences, read trade publications, subscribe to podcasts, maybe?
Online forums, professional networks. RoleCatcher can help connect you with those resources.
And be ready to discuss a recent development that's caught your eye. They might ask, what emerging trend in plastic and rubber manufacturing are you most interested in?
This is your chance to connect your passion to the future of the industry.
And before we wrap up this section, I want to reiterate how helpful RoleCatcher's AI can be in tailoring your answers for specific roles.
It's like having that personalized feedback loop.
Exactly. It can analyze the job description, suggest keywords or phrases that resonate with the hiring manager.
Making sure your message is crystal clear and aligned with their expectations.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered some key interview questions, but let's zoom out a bit and talk about the bigger picture. What's it actually like to have a career as a plastic and rubber products manufacturing supervisor?
Well, the RoleCatcher Career Guide breaks it down really well. It highlights the different stages of a typical career path, starting with entry-level positions.
Perfect. So let's walk through that. What does an entry-level supervisor typically do?
You're basically learning the ropes, supporting the more senior supervisors, and gaining that hands-on experience. Think of it like a manufacturing boot camp.
So you might be helping out with production, making sure everything's safe, maybe even training new employees.
Exactly. It's all about building that solid foundation, understanding how everything works.
Okay, and then what's the next step? The junior supervisor.
As you gain experience, you'll start taking on more responsibility. Maybe supervising a small team, keeping an eye on production output, implementing those quality control measures.
Stepping into a more leadership-focused role.
Precisely. And then, as you move up to senior supervisor, you're responsible for developing strategic plans, analyzing all that production data, working with other departments to optimize those processes.
Wow, so the scope really broadens. It's like going from tactical to strategic.
Absolutely. And the career guide even highlights potential pathways beyond that. You could become an operations manager, overseeing multiple facilities, driving operational excellence.
So there's a lot of potential for growth in this field.
Definitely. And the RoleCatcher Guide provides insights into salary expectations at each level, so you get a sense of the earning potential.
That's really helpful. It's not just about finding a job, it's about finding a career path that aligns with your goals. Now, let's jump back into those interview questions. We have a few more to cover, starting with, how do you motivate and develop your team?
This one's all about your ability to nurture talent, create a positive work environment. Think of times when you've empowered your team, provided opportunities for growth, recognized their achievements.
Specific examples are key. Did you mentor someone who then moved into a more challenging role? Implemented a cross-training program that improved skills and morale?
They might also ask, how do you handle performance evaluations? Or how do you give constructive feedback? Be ready to talk about your strategies for giving both positive reinforcement and constructive criticism.
Right, it's about helping your team members grow and succeed.
Exactly. Now, here's one that tests your big picture thinking. How do you ensure customer satisfaction in a manufacturing environment?
This is where you connect those dots between production, quality, and meeting customer needs. Have you put systems in place to gather feedback? Do you work with other departments to create a smooth customer experience?
Share real examples. Did you introduce a customer satisfaction survey that led to product improvements? Work with the sales team to fix a problem and prevent it from happening again.
It's about showing that you're not just focused on the internal stuff, but also on the customer.
Right. And they might ask, how would you handle a situation where a customer was unhappy with the product? That's when you highlight those problem-solving skills, that commitment to finding solutions that work for everyone.
All right, before we move on, I want to emphasize again how useful RoleCatcher's AI can be when you're prepping for these questions.
It's like having your own personal interview coach.
Exactly. You can put your answers into RoleCatcher and get feedback that's tailored to the specific job you're going for.
It might suggest stronger verbs to highlight your leadership skills or point out where your answers are a bit too vague. It's all about making sure your message is clear, concise, and has an impact.
Giving you that edge to shine in your interview.
Exactly. When you're confident in your answers, it shows.
So we've covered a lot of ground, from nailing those tough interview questions to getting a glimpse of what a career in this field can look like.
It's all about giving you the tools and confidence to succeed, not just in the interview, but in your career.
Right. So as we wrap up, let's highlight some key takeaways for our listeners who are gearing up for those plastic and rubber products manufacturing supervisor interviews.
First things first, preparation is key. Don't just skim the company's website. Dig deeper. Look into their annual reports, understand their place in the market. What challenges are they facing?
You want to show them you've done your research, that you're genuinely interested in helping them succeed.
And remember the power of storytelling. When you answer those behavioral questions, bring your experiences to life. Give them those vivid details. Quantify your results.
The STAR method is your friend. Situation, task, action, result. It's a great way to structure your answers so they're clear, concise, and impactful.
Speaking of impact, use RoleCatcher's AI to refine your resume and practice those answers. It's like having a personal coach in your corner, helping you craft the perfect message.
Making sure your skills and experience really stand out to both the algorithms and the hiring managers.
Now, beyond the technical prep, don't underestimate soft skills. Manufacturing is all about people, so show them your leadership style, how you communicate, how you motivate a team.
And let your passion shine through. This is a field that values innovation and problem solving, so show them your enthusiasm.
Here's a final thought. As you step into this leadership role, think about how you'll not only hit those production targets, but also build a culture of safety, continuous improvement, and empower your team.
Keep learning, keep growing, and best of luck with your interview. We know you'll make a positive impact in the world of plastic and rubber manufacturing.
That wraps up another deep dive. We'll catch you next time for another exploration of the world of work.